There is no way I'm about to go through.
Okay, well, I guess I just have to be extra careful then. Okay, so what clue do I get here? Door's locked. Oh, I see. Haha. Made it. Oh, no. That's one way to do it. Yay. So does that mean I get to load from this point? I do. Cool. That's it. That's all.
Shoo-wop, shoo-wop, a-doo-be-doo-be-doo.
0. Hey, how's it going? So, I had a bit of a hiccup while recording this. It turns out that I was doing an entire gameplay of this entire section without my volume up. And it's weird because the other 2 videos that I did, which are about as equally lengthy, they had volume. But this one did not, and this is the continuation from 4. So this would be number 5, part 5. And this is right after we dealt with that use of experience with Midnight Bunny. Okay, I'm just going until I actually find a save point. Forget how many rainbow coins I have at this point, but I'm pretty sure I'm past, like, I either have 4 or 5 coins by now on this. And then I'll just kind of speed it along because this one's about maybe 40 minutes long, and I'd rather not have you guys sitting around, you know, and not know what's going on. What is this? You've got to be kidding me. So, leading into this room, I was ill of landmines, and again, nowhere to go. I had no idea what I was doing, so I kind of just ventured through. Oh, there's little landmines everywhere. What in the crap is going on? To be quite honest, this was my second time going through this part because right when I ended the 4th one, I noticed that my save point wasn't completely saved until a little bit after I got out of the room with the Midnight Bunny. So it wouldn't have put me back here. It would have did the same thing it did on, which episode was that? I think it was 2, where it brought me right in front of Yo-Yo.
My name is Yo-Yo.
So I didn't want to have to do that all over again, and worst of all, I feared having to go through the whole ordeal with the bunny again.
Very special performance just for you. It's a magic show called Turning People into Fertilizer.
No! So I was like, yep, nope. I'm going to keep going until my save or my load ends up closer to here than back there. So anyway, moving forward, this would be my second attempt in going in here. And so far, I mean, I'm doing my best, level best not to, you know, rush anything. And I played it a little bit after it came out, and then I just stopped playing it. And I just completely forgot the controls. So, and I'm pretty sure, as you know, a lot of gamers, sometimes you kind of just dealt with that, especially if you kind of like, you know, play a game for a while and then you don't touch it for a long time, and then you touch other new games and then switch, you know, mechanics and then switch from keyboard to controller. Heaven forbid that you lose that knowledge there. I mean, some people, they're gifted. Me personally, it's just like, yeah. I get by. I only get by. I'm only here for the entertainment. I'm here for the experience, and really more for the story now, because now I'm invested into the story. And the jump scares, believe you me, I don't even know how I got by it. Like right here, this I hesitated. I know for sure, but I figured it out pretty quick because I noticed it didn't have one of the wind-ups in the back of it. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and go through the rooms. I don't see any landmines, so I'm going to just check around real quick. I see this door. I'm going to go ahead and check it, and that's it. Then I'm going to head up and get things done. All right, so this is going to be a little bit more more or less where I kind of cut out. some of it because again, this video is very lengthy, and I do apologize for it not having any type of audio with it, because this section, we deal with a new animatronic in this one, and it's a darn shame that it has no audio to go with it. Yeah, I'll let you guys be the judge of it, but I'm going to more or less kind of skip over this and then explain exactly what happened as I was going. So with this die, I didn't get it at first until I actually, kind of looked at it a few times, and then I realized that the word hunt right there, it's spelling, and it has, again, it's a 4-letter word, which means it's a 4-number password, which there is a dial pad right there on the door. So that more or less means that the password is going to be on this die. And then you see the letters as you roll it around. And I was just like, okay, let's just spell the word hunt. Let's see if the letters like H, U, N, and T are on there. So I just kind of, as I found it, I just memorized the numbers. So it was 4, 3, 1, and what was this? I think it was like 2. Was it 2? Yeah, it was 2. Yeah. So that was the password. And then I just went to go push it in and moved forward. Wasn't that hard. Not as hard as many of the other passwords that I had difficulty with. So yeah, moving forward. I didn't really hesitate to go through the dark as much this time, but I did just kind of creep into it because I didn't know what to expect. Still kind of traumatized after that whole wolf experience where he was just sitting in the dark and he just goes, "Hello, my prey." It's like, oh, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah, no, I totally did not want to have to go through that anymore. Okay, so right now I'm just going to go ahead and kind of snip it out and then explain just what it is. So as we approach these 3 altars, you notice that we have these 3 bears right here next to the giant one. I press the icon, and he is stating that these are his children and they are in need of honey. The honey is located in the area where the new animatronic is going to be. It's up to us to figure out the clues, the puzzles behind getting the right honey, and that's an ordeal there. Anyway, so as I'm viewing these altars, I'm just making sure that there's, no other additional clues before I decide to go through this hole over here, or this doorway. I also want to make sure that there's nothing hiding over here to the sides of the doorway, And as I'm moving towards the other door, there's a healing item there. I pick it up. I haven't been injured since Midnight Bunny hit me before the last time I got a game over. So I'm still at full health. As I get into this next room, I already know it's going to be like an escape room situation because you have the spikes here, you got a button here. I'm pretty sure this wall's going to lift up and I'm going to have to deal with something just gosh awful. Little did I know. As soon as I hit the start button, I was just going to brave it, thought I was going to go through it, and it was like smush, scrish. Yeah, and I wasn't really counting like how fast the pace was going for the machinery moving on the side, so I had a great deal of losses just on this part alone. I think I spent about a good 15 minutes trying to get past this. And again, it is mostly process this on top of the terror, on top of the suspense, and then also, minor note, that I'm still warming up to using the keyboard instead of being accustomed to the controller. I'm a controller player. That's just it. Enough said for me. And using my left hand to use the keys, I tend to overstretch my fingers at times when I panic. With that said, I didn't give up. I endured. Still managed to get through this part. Next, we see the star of the show, the new animatronic, the Queen Bee. She was chasing down yet another contender who was trapped in here inside with us. She beats the bejesus out of her. It's just a horrid scene, honestly. When you look around, I honestly thought she was just going to pop out of the corner right there and probably beat me first. But the cutscene was, as you go through this next door, the whole setup is different. It's different than the last ones that we did. It's not like too too condensed to where you can't get around obstacles. I mean, it's a little more open than the Midnight Bunny one. In fact, the clues are a little more straightforward as well. The sad part about it is that it requires you to find or be a little more creative with your hiding spaces, because with Queen Bee and how she's aggroed, I'm gonna say aggro in this case, but really it's more of a trigger. She gives no craps. Like, if you're standing near her, it doesn't matter if you're hiding behind something, if you happen to be hopping over something, if you happen to be looking at a light, and we've already established that the pause button, there is no pause. No pause whatsoever in the game. You can be in the menu. If they see you, they're just going to beat you to death like you stole something. So, oh, and that right there. Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yep, nope. We got to use any means necessary to get through this. So the idea of this section is you have to collect 3 things of honey. But in order to get the honey, you have to follow the required colors on the lids of the honey. So the bee cutout that's in front of the stands that you actually take indicate what color honey you can actually take from it. If you try to take from one of the other honeys, like the sign showed before at the beginning, beware of the fake honey. If you touch it, it self-destructs in your face and you take damage. Worst thing is it stuns you as well, and for some reason, every time you get hit by one of those, the queen bee ends up in the room with you at the same time, which leads into my very first triggered loss to her. I utilized the door, the shutter this time around. It was a lifesaver, but again, because she's so easily triggered by just being within the area, it's more like an area awareness thing, more than her seeing you, or more than you just being out in the open. If you're near her and it just happens to be like, okay, well, whatever, if you're in this area and if I sense any type of movement or if I see something out of the ordinary, I'm just going to jump you. And she's got length with that spiked bat of hers. I'm thinking it's a spiked bat. I didn't get a real good look at it, but yeah, if she's got length. If you're really trying to run away, you're gonna get hit regardless. Not to mention, there's a thing overhead that's just constantly blowing out flamethrower attack, like a Charizard or something, or like one of the caterpillars from Super Mario Brothers. I don't know, whatever it is. I got hit by that thing a few times, and it was a little unfair because once you get hit by it, it also knocks you back too. It staggers you. So if you're trying to move or if you're trying to run, you lose your ability to sprint for a little bit. So just something, to kind of keep in mind if you're ever going to play this and you end up on this part. All right, moving on. As I'm approaching each stall, I just make sure that I put in the coin first, and then I check the top of the lid. If it doesn't match any one of them, I don't want to try to pick it up. Otherwise, you see is what you just saw. It self-destructs in your face, and then before you know it, before I can even check the second one, Queen Bee's right there behind me, and she was just waiting for me to trigger that. And she was on me, just waiting to see if I had enough health left over to just attack and end me completely. So yeah, it's pretty crucial that you make sure that you check what's in front of that billboard on the bee for the lid, and make sure that the color matches the honey that you take. If you don't, it's going to self-destruct in your face. You're going to get staggered, and the queen bee is going to be directly behind you, just waiting for you to either try to move or waiting for you to check that next jar, which I got lucky, I guess, on that one. And then she'll just try to beat your skull in, pretty much. It's always assure that check that there's no any foot tracks behind you, because she could be right behind you as you're trying to check. And you definitely don't want to make the biggest mistake that I did a few times, which was leaving the coin behind in one of those rooms, and in a panic you end up forgetting which room it's in. That coin is necessary for you in order to open up those lids and check and see the jars in the first place. So you do not want to leave that behind whatsoever. So when you're checking, just make sure that she is leagues away from you. As you proceed in getting the jars, you just want to make sure that you're doing a good jar count, because at the end of one of these hallways it'll say 3 jars are required, and it certainly is required. Otherwise the exit to the The door, the exit to the place doesn't open up for you to leave. You're pretty much trapped in there until you find those jars. So just, be patient with her and be patient with yourself, because you have not only just that animatronic or this wind-up toy to deal with, you also have something to deal with above you. You also might encounter some points to where you're going to be trapped and not have any means of hopping over anything, and not to mention you have self-destruct items that can stagger you and make situations worse. And with choosing the wrong honey, it's pretty much instant death if you end up hitting 2 of them wrong, either by the jar itself or by the queen bee. So just, proceed with caution. As I'm rounding up the last little bit of honey that I need to complete this challenge, pretty tedious, because pretty sure every time I tried to go get the last jar, which I think the last lid I needed to look for was the red one. Yeah, the bee was always behind me. It wasn't too far behind me, at least. So I would stagger a little bit. I'd revisit rooms I was hiding in just to get away, and then the moment the light from her eyes would shift into a different direction, I would get up and just sprint and run as fast as I could. And sometimes that is actually the only option you really have when dealing with the later wind-ups, especially her Midnight Bunny and Queen Bee. It's kind of one thing I did notice, like with the mascot, it was a little easier. I even got that super lucky one where mascot was right over me, but I guess because since I was so low, he didn't trigger, he didn't see me, and I guess that's one of his weakness to his mechanic. So I was able to survive through that. But no such thing with Bee, and again, no such thing with Midnight Bunny. They were just on me, and Midnight Bunny was just like, oh. It's like that wind-up had ultra instinct. It knew when I was following behind it in a room over, if I was trying to sneak around another box, if I hopped around a wall, it was on me. It would go left, swing from the left. I try to dip away and curve around and lead out the other way, and it would be right there in front of me just to stab me with the carrot. It was an impossible act, just trying to escape. And I feel it was a little flukish at times when I managed to get the colors right. But I was just so glad once I figured it out. And really, not to kind of bring back the past, but when you're scared, it's hard to remember stuff like that. And I guess it's smarter to write things down to make it simpler. But really, how are you supposed to try to write when you're in a blind panic from the moment you start to the moment when everything just falls apart? It's ridiculous. And honestly, I'm just trying to enjoy the experience. If I wanted to write, I would just go and write something for a couple hours and just be done with it. This, however, the story was intriguing at first, and then it really got me roped into it. Not to mention, others started to kind of like say, hey, what happens next? Or, hey, did you know that maybe you missed this button and this was really the culprit the whole time, like with the whole murder one. And it wasn't that it was confusing, it's just that I was forgetting so quickly. Like, as quick as I got it was about as quick as how I lost it. But with this one, it was a little simpler. So thank goodness for that. And I managed to get all of the honey. I guess it didn't matter what order it was in, because regardless, when you tap it, it puts the colors down automatically. So that's good. And then with all 3 of those, I get the unlock for the next room as well as the next rainbow coin. And that is pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, it probably would have been a lot more enticing with sound effect and reaction. But in this case, like I told you before, I don't know what happened to my audio, but it's not going to happen again, especially when we get into this part right here. This is the meat of what aggravation is. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm saving because I don't know what is going on here. And that was it. So anyway, we'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe, stay warm, and be sure to tune in. See you on the next one. I hope it loaded the right file, as it was kind of scrolling over as I was cooking. Yeah.
What on earth just happened?
Rainbow